time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. My name is Paul Farahvar. On this episode, we have comedian Joe Kwaczala, also riding shotgun, Patti Vasquez. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast and like our sponsors. All right, you've heard me talk about him before, and if you are new to the podcast, you must know about my friend Scott Shapiro. If you have been injured on the job and need compensation, you may be entitled to payment for not only your medical treatment, but pay while you're off work and other compensation as well. My dear friend, attorney Scott Shapiro, has been helping injured workers for 20 years here in Chicago. Contact him at 312-648-8800 or email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. His law office is a full-service law firm, and in addition to workers' compensation cases and work injuries, the law office can handle any and all of your legal needs, including entertainment law. All consultations are initially free of charge, so do not take a chance and wait. Call him, 312-648-8800, or check out his website at scottshapirolegal.com. Let him know we sent you. Hey guys, I want to tell you about an amazing book called Perfect Pain by my good friend Karam Haddad. You probably heard me talk about it if you've talked to me at all recently, but it's a great story about how he lived the American dream on the outside, but was dealing with trauma on the inside. And he basically tells you how you can overcome trauma if you're willing to open the darkest doors and really look inside yourself. I highly recommend this book. It's such an eye-opener, and it's such an amazing story about it's just a great book. You have to get it. It's at perfectpain.com, or you can get it on Amazon. Again, Perfect Pain by Karam Haddad. It's a great story, and it's uplifting, and it's happy, and it's deep, and it's something that we all should read. And it talks about how therapy basically saved his life. And I hope you guys will read it and share it with everybody. Perfectpain.com. Singles only time. Paul Farahvar here. Riding shotgun is the amazing Patti Vasquez.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Patti.
Hi, you're not using the voice of treason anymore?
No,
I kind of like that.
We have to have, for those of you who haven't listened to the podcast, we have to have somebody who's married in a successful relationship so we don't end up shitting on relationships for the whole time.
Right.
And that's why you're here.
Well, I mean, not everybody dumps on relationships. You do.
Well, we don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, you don't dump on them. You just dissuade people from being committed.
I do think that marriage is an outdated institution. I've made that pretty clear in the 100 and some episodes we've had. But
fair.
We'll see what happens.
And I keep trying to set people up. I want that mix and mingle with this group. Okay.
This way we've set up both sides, and then Joe can, I guess, pick a side or make his own team.
No, that's not what this is about. It's not a competition between us. That's new.
Comedian Joe Kwaczala joins us. Joe, I am so impressed by your new 31 for 31 thing.
Oh, thank you.
I reached out to you. I was like, oh, man, I got to talk to this guy. When I was just starting on the comedy scene, you were already a legend on the scene.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
here in Chicago. So it's an honor to have you here. First question we have to ask of all our guests, are you single?
I am single, yes.
How is that possible?
Oh my God, can you even imagine someone like me, such a stud?
You seem like a nice guy.
Yeah.
And you're very talented and very funny and charming. I would think those are the
keep
qualities.
going.
You look very earnest. You have an earnest look about you, which is important to women.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, if I had to try and pinpoint a reason, I think it's a combination of mostly being focused on my work. I mean, I did, as you mentioned, I released 31 videos, which is quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
And it's quite time. It's a lot of time in my life, So yeah, I guess if I find myself, and have always kind of found myself very, very focused on my career and my projects and stuff, and then that stuff, the relationship stuff, tends to fall to the wayside. And I've also found, and it's not conscious, but when I am wrapping up a project or I'm done with a project, I'm suddenly dating like a lot of people.
Oh, it seems like work might sort of be an attraction, though, too. That sort of drive, don't you think?
Yeah, I think potentially.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He was about to say something.
No, you're fine.
That was about it.
Do you want to have a traditional relationship where you get married, have kids?
I'd be open to it. Like, I feel like if I found the right person, then like those things would be attractive to me, but not in the kind of general sense. I'm relatively content being alone. It's those things. I came from a family. My parents are still together, and they have a very loving relationship. And I think that's great, and something like that would be nice, but it's not really a requirement for my happiness.
I'm talking to a mirror right now. This is exactly how I feel.
You say you're not. He's open to it. I don't think you're.
I'm open to it also, but he's also younger than me, and at that age, I was like saying the same thing.
Okay,
so,
fair.
But I would say that it is hard. Do you find it hard when you are dating someone that they don't understand your drive and your, I would say, ambition and goals, and why they kind of take a second seat to it? Is that something?
I don't know that I've experienced that before, because I think out of the gate it's pretty apparent that what I'm trying to do, and I think typically that's attractive to them. If I'm attracting them, that's kind of, they get it from the get-go. It's not like a surprise. Not like we're dating for a month and all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, you have all these ambitions. No, they know it from the get-go.
And that might be why they were attracted to it.
Right.
Potentially, yeah.
That's what I was thinking before, was that would be a draw.
Yeah, that's usually how they get in. And then they're like, oh, he really likes this stuff. Like,
right.
I'm never in this picture. You said that right after you are done with a bigger project, all of a sudden you're dating a lot. How does that come about? Are you using apps or something, or are you just on?
Yeah, I mean, these days a lot of it is apps. Tinder, but less so these days. I don't know. Are you on the apps?
I am, yeah. But I've kind of like I've on Tinder, it's just a blatant promotion for my podcast.
That's
and for
very
my
funny.
dates. I basically say, you probably won't like me, but listen to my podcast or my show about dating at Laugh Factory every Friday at 8 p.m.
How does that work for you?
They haven't kicked me off yet.
Okay, yeah.
But I was told that's not the
purpose.
I think that goes against the mission statement of the company.
But on Bumble, I do traditional dating. But the problem I have is that I don't have a project, but I have like a lot of things going on, and then I forget. The only time I'll have time to like look through Bumble is like when you're waiting to go on stage or
on the toilet.
On the toilet, right?
That's the first time I've heard that. I didn't even think of that. Oh my god, my life is so
on the toilet.
Weird.
See, I stopped doing that because like I have a book that I really like.
Okay, yeah, the book takes priority.
So I've stopped.
It's old school.
Online.
That's so old school. Reading a book or magazine. What's wrong with you?
That's how I do it.
But you got to swipe, baby.
So when you are
before you wipe,
swipe and wipe. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I got to write that one down.
Yes, please.
But when you're meeting, if you're in LA though, so is it different there? We've had people from LA on here, and they say the apps there are. Have you done the apps in Chicago first off?
Right when I moved to LA was the first time I heard of Tinder. So
gotcha.
this would have been summer 2013.
So your only experience online is in LA.
Yeah.
So how is that?
I have the experience there and really nowhere else. So it's like I remember in what felt like the early days, the wild, wild west of Tinder. It was crazy. It felt like I was like matching constantly with people, and it was like fun. You meet up with someone, and and I'm not someone who's like yeah, I gotta fuck every night, or whatever,
Sure.
or like even go on dates every night. But it was kind of crazy, and I was like a lot of very cute, interesting young women in Los Angeles. Now that we're like 5 years on, though, like it just feels different. I don't really use it that much anymore because I feel like I don't really get any matches. I'm not really interested in anybody who's on there. So it's just like it's a different thing now.
Are a lot of the women that you were meeting from Los Angeles, or people who had also moved there in pursuit of work? Or
yeah, I think generally in Los Angeles there's just like a lot of transplants.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a mix of both.
So is that? I mean, when you were around other artists or people who are trying to accomplish something in the industry, what was that? I mean, compared to other places you've lived or tried dating.
It's nice to moving to Los Angeles is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
So that is like a bonding experience of like, oh yeah, when did you move here? How was that?
When were your dreams broken?
Yeah, right.
What was the exact date? No, I'm just
kidding. Did you make it past the point where you want to kill yourself? And if it's like, oh, I moved here 6 months ago, you're like,
call me back in 6 months.
you're kind of like, well, I mean, not really, but like kind of, yeah.
Really?
Well, it's like I know how difficult that first year is, and if you're still in it, not like I wouldn't be interested in someone, but I just know like, oh, there's just so much that you're still dealing with, and that's great. But I know that there's a difference between the people who have passed that mark and the people who are still like who might be gone in a month potentially.
Right.
That makes sense. Have you tried the other apps too, or because there's like 70 of them?
There are many.
There's one called Raya that's like for people in the industry.
Yeah, it's from what I understand. I'm not on it, but I have some friends who are on it. It's for people in the industry, but also like people who are like Instagram famous. That's like the biggest pull for Raya.
How many followers you have?
Yeah, there's just like a lot of Instagram models on Raya, and then also I guess people who are successful. And it seems connected to the industry. Yeah,
like Angie Dickinson, perhaps.
Right.
Yes.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, that's immediately what I was going to say, too.
Top of the list.
The first celebrity I think of. I'm on Tinder, which, like I said, I barely use anymore. Bumble, which like kind of never worked for me. And then the one that I've been having relative success on recently is called Hinge.
Oh yeah, someone was just talking about it on episode.
I like Hinge.
Yeah,
it's so close to unhinged. I just don't know if I.
But it's the opposite. It's the opposite of unhinged, so that's why it's good.
Okay.
Comedian Dale McPete said it's like Twitter for lonely people.
Okay,
right?
Oh, that's great.
Wow, maybe for Dale, but I think it's like. It's a little bit of every. It's like a streamlined OkCupid almost, and so you have like 3 or 4 pictures, and then you answer 3 questions, and that's it. So as opposed to just seeing pictures and like a bio, you see a little bit more. Like they have to answer. They can pick the questions they want to answer, and then you see the pictures, and you can see their Instagram at the bottom. So it's a little bit more of a complete picture, and you can be, I think, a little bit funnier, and you have the opportunity to say a few
showcase
things.
Yourself.
Yeah, which I like, and I've matched with more people there recently than anywhere else.
Now, the only problem I had with that, and maybe it's the wrong app, is that the one where it connects you to people that you have mutual friends in common?
So I think that was the original idea behind Hinge.
Okay, so it's no longer that.
No, now yeah.
Friends of friends.
That's why I didn't.
That's why it was called Hinge, because it like a door hinge or something, like it's connecting one thing and another thing.
That's why I didn't want to go on it, because I'm friends with a lot of my exes, and I didn't want to like start talking to someone and be like, "Wait, you're dating? Didn't you date Sarah?" And you're like, "No, this never happened."
Different firefighter.
Right. I think that was the original idea behind.
So
Hinge.
no longer.
Now
I'm going on it right now.
Yeah, it's fully revamped.
I think that sounds good. Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about that one. There was another one called The League that I also joined because we thought we were going to work with them on promoting this thing. But I like that too. It gives you 3 matches, and it's all invite only.
Okay.
It's like an elite
exclusive
crew, allegedly, but I got in. So
yeah, how exclusive can it be?
Exactly. But that's similar to what Hinge is, it sounds like. But it just gives you a lot more detail about the person, and you get 3 a day, but you don't get to answer questions. So
interesting.
These are all good ones. Yeah, Tinder. I don't know what's happened to them. It seems like they go in spurts where at first it was like a hookup app, and then like all of a sudden it was like a serious app, and then now I don't know what's
identity crisis for Tinder.
Yeah, who knows? And then Bumble, I did have success on there. Depending on what you call success.
Right.
Are you only meeting people on apps?
No.
I was going to say.
I
would imagine that.
Yeah, I go outside.
I was going to say.
Organically.
You seem like someone who would, strike up a conversation.
For sure, yeah. I have definitely met and dated plenty of people who I've met IRL, as they say, in real life.
In real life, yeah.
Have you dated other people in the same industry, comedians and whatnot?
Yeah, I have.
How'd that go?
Not great. I dated somebody who was comedy adjacent, who worked on kind of like the production side of things, which was probably a mistake. Just because, anything within the I don't know. The thing is, those things can be. I've also, I've been involved with people who work in comedy or are comedians, and it's been fine. Also, afterwards, it's been like very cool.
I think it's, for me, I've always said it's like impossible to. It's a bad idea to date. Well, maybe in Los Angeles it's a little different because it's a broader spectrum.
Yeah.
But here in Chicago, it's everyone knows
tight,
each other.
yeah.
And it's like shitting where you work.
It's too incestuous.
Yeah, you can't do that.
There are unicorns out there, I'm sure, but
then comedians are in this unique place where, you can't date someone that's 9 to 5 either because you'll never see that person if you're working a lot and doing shows. So I always say the musicians should date comedians because I think that's like the they kind of get it.
You really go at that, don't you?
I think I'm gonna.
That's the mingle you need to do. Oh,
comedians meeting musicians online.
What would you call that?
Swipe and wipe.
Wait a second.
On. I don't know. Rock on.
Note meets joke. Kind of thing. What's
there
like the
go.
cute little.
Coffee meets bagel, someone said, is another one that's good too.
Oh yeah, I've never done that one. There's really so many. There's one called Field. Do you know this one?
No. Rock and Giggles is what I call it.
FEELD is Field, and it's supposed to be
dirty.
It's supposed to be a little dirty. Oh. That's kind of the approach that they've.
So no talking. You just like you touch the app and you're actually touching the person.
Yeah, a finger comes out of their phone and touches their nipple, and they're like, "Whoa, hey, I like this."
But what is it?
The idea is to like kind of be open about what you want sexually, and like you can even like pick categories of like what you're into.
Right.
It's something that I have not. I downloaded just because my friend was like, "This thing's crazy," and I was like, "All right, I'll see what it's about." And I have not really done much beyond just kind of looking field. So it's like playing the field, but also the word "feel" is in there.
I'm writing that down.
Go ahead. FEELD.
But I think like I don't have any weird things, so I would like
just be like I enjoy sex, and that's like funny.
Next question.
Right.
But maybe there are women who you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind trying that for her. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Yeah, this could really open a lot of doors for you, Paul.
I'm just saying.
I like weird things, but they're not like sexually related. They're just like I like tan lines. That's like weird. Everyone's like, you like tan lines? I'm like, yeah, I think that's hot. It's like 70s pornish.
Say that, then.
Yeah.
Go download Field and be like, do you have a tan line? Hit me up.
Like a farmer's tan? Like what? Oh, bikini.
Bikini tan, yeah. Like,
farmer's tan is very funny. Would that work for you still? If it was a farmer's tan on a woman?
I think it would. I don't know.
Yeah,
it depends on how high the
that contrast. Baby.
It's like it just makes it more, I don't know why. It does. I don't know.
No, I get it.
It's a weird thing. Everyone has
there used to be something there, and now there's not. It's kind of alluring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's like forbidden.
Yes.
Right.
Forbidden fruit.
From the sun.
I wasn't supposed to see.
The sun may not see these parts.
That's right. And I wasn't supposed to see them either.
Have you gone on any dates where you're like, this is how did this happen?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
On both ends of the spectrum. I mean, I went on one date that was just very boring, and I had to. And you guys might relate to this as comedians, where I'm always trying to like please, and I'm always trying to like make people like laugh and stuff. I'm like, that's how I'm oriented, and I had to be like, okay, this person's really boring. And my instinct is to like make up for that by like really trying to be charming and trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you don't like this person. Let the silences happen.
It's impossible.
Let the awkward. It's like really tough because you feel, your gut instinct is the opposite of that. So really letting these silences just marinate and letting the awkwardness happen. So then she won't be interested either. And then it was.
So that's what you did? Was you did the silence, or you kept pleasing?
Well, like,
why are you pleasing?
Right.
I always try to be like, well, maybe there's something here. I know we're not going to match, but at least maybe we'll become friends or something. But then there are certain points where you're like, why am I trying so hard?
Yes, right. Yeah, you start to forget why you're wired that way.
It's like playing to a dead crowd.
Yeah.
The harder you try, the worse it feels.
We all have an illness.
So what happened?
So it was hard. It was almost like a challenge, but I did like we would talk, and then I would just kind of let it naturally, instead of trying to compensate, let it naturally just be like quiet. And then after maybe like 45 minutes, she was like, all right, well, I think I'm going to go. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, nice meeting you. And it was perfect.
There needs to be an app where what I want to create, and we've talked about this show, is I had a situation like that where we were both trying, and it was like we wanted to get out. We're like, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? And then she was a Russian lady. She goes, "Are we done here?" I'm like, that's perfect. Like that should be.
Was she 75 years old?
No, she was related to the Ivan Drago, I think. But it was like, "Are we done here?" It's like that should be the app. Like,
that's great.
It should be like. When it's like, you know, that game on MTV where it's like next. It's
yes,
like,
of course.
There should be a word to be like, this is what the word is when we get out. It's like a safe word to get out of the date.
It's weird. We don't want to say those things, but like you can sense that the other person would be happy if you said it. But
who's
we
gonna
still
say it first?
Have such a hard time being able to actually do it.
It's like calling chicken. Like it's like who's going to get out first.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right?
Call the app chicken.
Chicken. That's what I think I'm going to do that on the next date and just be like, hey, if you want to leave, just say, are we done here? Or chicken. And we will just walk away because I'm really bad at, I think you're right. I think it's convenient. Just we don't know how to like, we need like we're used to a light telling us, okay, we have to.
Yeah,
right.
Wrap
it
go.
up.
I need a light
shining in your eyes. Like, okay, all right, fine.
That's what it should be. It's
2-minute
like
warning.
a light. Like someone gives you a light. All right, I got a minute to wrap it up. All right, here's my final.
Here's my closer.
My final plea.
Oh my God.
I played in a band. I shower every day. Thank you. Follow me on Twitter. What you said there was a couple. What was the other?
Oh, and then I just had a crazy one on the other end of the spectrum where I was admittedly horny, and also I have led a pretty boring life. I feel like I feel like I've never been like the wild boy. Like I have not had like many like one night stands. Like it's just not something that I've ever. I'm like pretty risk averse, you know. Like I kind of stay away from.
Really?
That's fair.
I would say as a comedian, we're all taking a huge risk.
Well, as far as when it comes to being intimate.
Yeah. So I mean that's kind of the irony, I guess, is that
in your personal life you're risk averse. Gotcha.
Yeah, never just like a wild party boy, and I'm relatively reserved when it comes to relationships. That's kind of why I like the apps, because I get someone is telling me that they're interested. It's like cut and dry, you know. Someone has swiped right on me.
So
okay,
you don't have to
interested.
approach them in a bar or something and be like, hey.
Yeah, or misread a situation, or like face rejection, you know,
face rejection.
all those things, which are difficult. But, you know, the kind of binary of an app, it allows you to go, okay, I feel confident that this person has said yes, that like, cool, I'm interested. And then you see where that goes. So anyway, I've never really done anything super crazy, and there was a young woman who was messaging me like with like a decent amount of like typos, but like pretty forward, like wanting to get together and kind of.
What time of night was this?
Well, this had been over a few days,
Okay, gotcha.
and like my default was just like kind of fucking with this person, because I was like, I'm not going to meet up with this idiot, this person.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my roommate at the time was like, you should just go like see what happens. Like just go do something kind of crazy, you know? And
Take
I was
a
like,
chance.
Yeah. And I got to a point where I was like, you know, I guess
And then she stabbed you.
I'll meet up with this person. And yeah, she was just like, she might have been on something. The date started with me picking her up from a bar, which is a great first first sign.
4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was, and then she was just so like spacey and out of it, and like, let's do something fun. And I'm like, okay, do you want to like go to a bar? And she's like, no, let's go do something like, take me somewhere I've never been. And I was like, all right. And I was like, but you know, I'm trying to like roll with it, like try to go against my instincts to just like, you know, completely abandon this person. So I took her to this spot that I think is kind of cool, that you can see the whole city. It's like up in the hills, and I took her there, and she was like, immediately was like, she was like, what is this? Well, I don't get it. And I was like, what do you mean? It was like, you see the whole city. It's like really cool. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to. My shoes hurt. She said something like, it was like very weird. And then there were like other cars there, because it's like a cool like lookout point, and one of the cars had like their flashers on, because it was like on a curve, so like in case anybody's turning and they don't want to hit the car.
Right.
And she like went up to them and was like, what's going on with your car?
Why is it blinking?
Yeah, literally. She was like, something's going on. Like, why is it flashing like that? And they were like, it's the flashers on. She was like, okay,
That's weird.
all right. And then we were like standing at this point. There were other people there, and she turned the light on her phone, like the flashlight, and then just like put it in someone's face to look at them. Just like a true maniac.
Well, at what point do you just leave her there?
I know, right?
I mean,
but I was like committed to my plan.
Sure. But as a comedian, where you're like, I want to see how this keeps going.
There was a little bit of that, which is a truly devious way to think.
Take her to a 7-Eleven and be like, have you been here before? Like, see where the line is.
Yeah, right. Well, she did want to go to like a gas station to get a snack, and the snack that she wanted was bread pudding.
How do you get bread pudding at a gas station?
Exactly, and that's what I said.
Is she from England?
And I was like, I really don't think we can get bread pudding at a gas station. She's like, no, they always have it. And I was like, okay, you should go and get it. And she's like, no, you go get it. I want to stay in the car. And I was like, all right. So I had to go up to and be like, you don't have bread pudding, right? He was like, no, of course I don't. And I was like, yeah, I know. And yeah,
there's this crazy woman in my car who thinks you do.
They're more likely to have
so sure of it that it's making me think you have it, even though I know you don't.
Maybe like Slim Jim pudding or something like that.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
What did you do? Did you go back? And
I went back and I was like,
out.
hey, bad news.
Yeah.
There's no bread pudding at this ExxonMobil. I know that's gonna come as a shock to you guys.
What was her reaction?
And then she was just like, "Oh, we'll just get." And then I ended up getting, I forget what
Gum.
I got. Yeah,
like, I'll just take gum then.
Right.
Something
bread
completely different.
So I ended up having to buy her some like little Debbie snack cake or something.
Oh my god!
Bread pudding.
Yeah. It was so bizarre. And then she was like, well, and I was like, let's go. Let's leave. I'm done. And she's like, no. You took me to your spot. I have to take you to my spot. And I was like, all right. So she gives me this like address. And I'm like, I wonder where she's taking me. And then we roll up to just, I'm like, we traveled pretty far, like maybe 45 minutes.
How long has passed on this thing so far?
Yeah, it's maybe an hour or so. And she's like saying weird things in the car, like, will you go camping with me? And I'm like,
no.
Maybe.
It's like a sure way to die.
Let's see where you take me
what's
first.
going on? And just saying weird stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, very spacey, very out of it. So we roll up to this house, and that's like the spot she's taking me. And I'm like, why are we in a residential area? I thought we were going like a park or I don't know, some public spot. She's like, this is my grandma's house.
Yes, of course it is.
And
Why wouldn't
like,
it?
What?
I was like, okay. What? And she was like, I thought we could like, and I might be misremembering this, but I feel like she said, I think it'd be fun to break into my grandma's house and we could like cuddle in my grandma's house. And I was like, no.
I draw the line at
that was
breaking
the line?
and entering.
Well, also, I mean, in the back of my head
What if it's not?
was that
Grandma's house.
was also just like, this really feels like a situation where she could lead me somewhere where a bunch of guys are there ready to rob me or do whatever, you know.
Instincts cut.
So I'm like, I'm not going to go into any private areas that she's choosing.
2 designated areas is your limit. Yeah.
Public spots, you know.
Wow.
So what did she say?
She was like, is that weird? And I'm like, yeah, it's weird. What do you... Yeah, it's very weird. What on earth? Yeah. So I was like, no, let's, I'm not doing this. Let's
Do you
leave.
have a second choice?
She was like bummed out. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm not. And she's like, are you mad at me? And I was like, no, but like, it's just, I'm not going to break into your grandma's house. Like, what is even going on?
Just imagining so many things. She dresses up like grandma.
Oh my
There's a
God.
Bates situation going on.
Right. You made the right decision.
Yeah, oh, yes.
I mean, like, stories are stories, but, you know, I also want to live.
That's your LA story.
Yeah. My God.
Your parents would be proud of your choices there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, so then what happened? You just took her home or to the bar again?
Right. Back to the bar. She needed more drinks. You know, I was like, well, we could just like hang out at my place. I mean, because I'm still like, I don't know, I'm still pretty committed to my plan, even though like I've gotten every sign where it's like this person has problems. And it was so strange the way she acted in my home.
She brought her to your house.
Yeah.
Well, you had a roommate though.
Yeah, I did.
So there's a witness. Okay.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
You're texting him, hey, not for nothing.
She everything she saw, she wanted.
Can I have this?
Yes. Like, can I have that?
That's my bed.
Yeah. Right. Like, oh, like, I had like crayons out because I was like made a card, like a birthday card for somebody. So I just happened to have that. She was like, "Oh my God, crayons! Can I have those?"
What'd you say? You could only yellow.
And I said no. I kept saying no. She just kept pointing at things and being like, "Can I have that?"
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was, and like she wanted like a toothbrush. She wanted like it started making me think like, oh, is she homeless?
Right.
I don't know. I never found out.
How did she get? What was the next? She's like, she's still in my apartment right now.
Right. Yeah. She won't leave, and I'm like, you got to go.
Where did she take her?
Yeah. Then she just. I was like, where she was very resistant to being taken anywhere. But then she did give
now.
Right? Because I was like, where's your home? And like there was weird resistance to that, which also lends credence to that idea. But I did take her to an address. I did not see her go inside anywhere, but I did take her to an address that I assume was her home.
So you didn't see her go. God. So did you just take off before she started going into the residence, or did you try waiting until she walked away?
I was just like, I gotta go.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah, that was enough for me.
What was your takeaway from that? I mean, clearly there were so many things.
It really, it's hard to really construct any type of narrative that makes sense because you're like, what? Nothing is consistent, and it was like.
But at some point, there's annoyance level. I can see like where I would be annoyed, but then at some point, something kicks in where you're like.
Worth it.
I gotta keep going. I want to see where this ends.
Yeah, right. There was a morbid curiosity.
Was there any physical attraction?
Yeah, she was cute.
Okay.
She did constantly ask me if I thought she was pretty, which is great. Really turns me on.
Yes, you're pretty.
And she's like, "Am I pretty?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Wow.
She was of age, right?
Yeah,
Ooh, good point.
Listen, I'm gonna assume
for purposes
from what I understood. I mean, you can lie on Tinder, but I was under the impression that yes, and it would shock
like
me.
She was
it would shock me if she was
physically.
You're right, mentally a different story, but yeah.
So what are your deal breakers now? Are you
truly that experience pushed me over a line where I now will abandon situations, That was like my one time having fun. It was like, fun sucks. I'm not doing this anymore. So yeah, now if it's just like I detect that, obviously if I detect craziness, I'm going to accept it and go, this is crazy, and then you divorce myself from that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Instead of giving the benefit of the doubt or trying to follow a potentially fun story. I don't need any more of those. I
have enough.
I had roughly 5 or 6 stories from that night alone.
Well, it gives you a little bit of a shortcut now. That experience, gives you an ability to not waste time.
Yeah,
I also caught up on a lot of wildness that I had not had
all in one night.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's you got to trust your instincts in certain settings where you're like, something's not right here, and it's sometimes you have to hear someone say the word bread pudding to be like, yeah, we're not getting bread pudding.
Yeah, your brain is broken if you think we can get bread pudding.
This seems like an updated version of a movie called Blind Date with
Kim Basinger.
Kim Basinger and Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
okay.
You have to check it out. Although might
be triggering.
It might
Maybe
be.
You shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, she becomes destructive though. I think.
Yeah, she does. Very destructive.
I just feel like this is a new version. Like when you tried doing Tinder, finding a date. I'm just saying, there's a script in there. I'm always thinking of those things.
Yeah, right.
Swipe and wipe away.
Swipe and wipe.
We're out of time, Joe. Where can people, other than on Tinder and Felt, where can people find you?
You can find me on all the apps. On Twitter at JoeK, on Instagram at JoeQua, and JoeQuazala.com is where all my stuff is.
And you also have a Comedy Central special coming out in 2019.
Yeah, if you're in New Orleans on January 31st, the taping is free to the public.
That's
so come on out. I'll be taping my half hour, and then that will probably air at some point in 2019.
You would assume, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Now I want bread pudding.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your stories. My face hurts. And thank you, Patti, for joining us. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Singles Only. I hope you learned something.